Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a little while since I've checked in with you. I hope you guys have been doing well. I've been under the weather. Finally getting over it. Guys, I thought I'd come on real quick and talk about the passing of George Foreman. It has been almost a week now since George passed, and man, it was, it's one of those athlete slash celebrity deaths that just, it just hits different. Um, I'm sitting at home last Friday night, and I get the ESPN alert. George Foreman, former two-time world heavyweight champion, and when you see the headline start that way, you immediately think the worst, and it felt like, man, somebody punched me right in the middle of my chest, man. I cannot speak about George Foreman, of the '70s when he was in his prime. I was not alive. Hell, I was just a little kid when he made his comeback, But guys, I first got into sports, around the early part of 1990. If I had to tell you guys what was the first big boxing match that really grabbed my attention, that I really wanted to see as a kid, it probably was Holyfield versus Foreman. I was fascinated by that fight. What was this young, prime, undefeated, badass champion? What was he gonna do? With the big, strong veteran who was tough, who had a lot of knockouts. That was one of the first fights that really fascinated me. Now, unfortunately, I didn't watch it live on pay-per-view, but that is a great classic fight. A memorable heavyweight fight. All right. From there, watching George, commentate so many fights over the years on HBO. I was a big fan of him, Lampley, and Merchant, on a telecast, man. Lots of great, memorable fights, moments, action from George calling those fights. Then, of course, he had the Tommy Morrison fight, which I remember as a kid was viewed as being controversial. I had relatives thinking that Foreman won. As an adult, clearly you can tell that that Tommy Morrison won that fight wide. But man, I was lucky enough to watch the Moore fight live. As a kid, it was shocking. It was, a memorable, amazing sports moment for me, personally. I think at that time I was 12. All right. It happened. Saw it live. Then of course, George continues to fight. Is selling grills, which of course, I had one. Back in the days of, infomercials and all that. George was a salesman, man. He was a very likable guy. Back in those days, we didn't call guys, like Unc, from afar, things like that. But George Foreman really was the uncle type, the second grandfather type. He felt like a relative, man. From watching him fight, commentate, with all the success he had selling the grills, making well over $100 million. George is, was highly successful, preacher, family man. He was a mentor to guys like, Derek Lewis, the Black Beast of, the UFC. Lots of youth coming through his, church and recreation programs. you know. And in his last fight, I think he flat out got robbed against Shannon Briggs. I thought he clearly won that fight, and that robbery probably made George, give it up. Probably left a bad taste in his mouth. But I thought he clearly beat Shannon Briggs when he was, I think probably like maybe 48 at that point. And Briggs had to be in his 20s, and they robbed George. But man, George was, even in his later years, his last years, he was still active on social media. Had a YouTube channel. Was doing post fights, doing interviews, and I'm glad we got to see George even in his later years. He also had that movie released about his life, which I went to the movie theater with my family, and we enjoyed it. It was a good movie. So congrats to George, and salute to him on just an amazing life, a job well done, everything he did for mankind, for his family. It was one of those passes, man. Like I said, it hit different. Nothing but love and sympathy from everybody. No negative words, no negative nothing. You can tell James Toney was very touched by what he was posting on his Instagram. It really affected him, and just everybody. Nothing but good stories, words, pictures. George Foreman was special, man. And condolences to his family, all his friends and fans. He will be missed, man. A legendary figure in all of sport. To come back, later in his athletic life, and once again become heavyweight champion of the world at 45. A record that's still standing to this day, and it may stand for a long time. Because boxing is definitely a young man's game. And what he did was special. So I wanted to come on, man. It was like losing a family member, man. All those fight nights. Whether he was watching the fight or hearing him call fights. A lot of time spent with George Foreman. All right. Let me know what you guys think, man. Rest in peace, George. Thanks for all the great moments and memories, and thanks for being an inspiration to us all. And I will check in with you guys soon. Thanks for watching.